and welcome to Legislative Report. I'm State Representative Mindy Fee of the 37th District in Lancaster County. According to the 2010 U.S. Census, people 65 years and older make up 13% of the population. That percentage is expected to increase to 20% by 2050. Thanks to modern advances in health and medicine, people are living longer. On today's program, we'll be visiting Pleasant View Retirement Community to show examples of different housing options and services available to today's seniors. Before the tour, I'd like to welcome my colleague, Representative Bryan Cutler from the southern end of Lancaster County.
Thank you.
As a freshman coming in, we get put on different committees. And I was fortunate enough to be put on Ag Committee and on Game and Fish and a few others. You, though, are on our Health Committee.
I am.
And one of the great things about Lancaster County and our delegation is we all have a tendency to work together. And I lean on you oftentimes when there's different policies and different legislative bills that come up because you get to hear it first in that committee.
Yes. We're very fortunate in Lancaster County by having 7 members. We're spread across, I think, almost all of the committees except 1 or 2.
Right.
So that gives us kind of fingers in each one of the issues. And in particular, the Healthcare Committee, because of my background, that's something that I've always been interested in. And unfortunately, I'm the only member of Lancaster County that's currently on that committee.
That's right, that's right. And you know, as I did my interview with Pleasant View, we discussed all the different type of jobs that are available out there. Can you go over a little bit on the type of different jobs that are going to be coming up and that are available in the health community?
Well, the healthcare community and the healthcare industry in general is really one of our fastest growing sectors of the economy. That is a large percentage of our economy. And more importantly, it's a large section of our education. If you look at our colleges, our tech schools, our VOTech, there's a whole new area of fields that are really open to students as they come into it. And really, you and I should care about that as we continue to age, because those individuals who are graduating from school now will be those people who are taking care of us as we continue to grow older. So you've got the individuals who will be providing direct care, the nurses, the doctors, you've got x-ray techs, lab assistants, you've got physical therapists, you've got a whole host of potential healthcare providers there. But on top of that, you've got a whole host of other, what I'll call scientific backgrounds. You've got individuals who will be developing new surgical techniques. You've got biotech companies, which we have a lot of here in Pennsylvania. A lot of folks don't realize down around Philadelphia, we have a lot of biotech companies that are doing biomedical research. They're developing new medical devices. So it's very exciting for us as a Commonwealth because this is an industry that directly impacts us. And I really think that we should, as a Commonwealth, be encouraging our young students to really take a look at many of these careers because 1, it's the one sector of our economy that's growing, and 2, as we continue to age, as you pointed out in your opening comments, as a population, it's an area that's only going to continue to grow. So in terms of job security, I think that's very important when you look at our troubling economic times and individuals are somewhat concerned about will they have a job next week, a year from now, or 5 years from now. That's an area of the economy that's very, very stable.
That's right, that's right. You know, something else we all face is what healthcare options are available, either as you grow older, either for ourselves or for a loved one. I know Pennsylvania does come in and help with some of those things. Can you go into some of the details about that?
Yeah, I'm assuming your office is set up very similar to ours. We have a brochure rack in the office that you can access. And it's not just once you get to a retirement community that many of these resources are available. And as you kind of transition into that stage of your life, it's important to note that there's a lot of resources that are available to us as residents. Perhaps you're between jobs and you need insurance. Perhaps you've retired early and you need something to cover the gap between you're 55 and you've got to wait until you're eligible for Medicare. Or perhaps you just don't have adequate prescription drug coverage. There are brochures and resources that are available that you and I both have that are in our state offices. You can visit those areas, come check out the brochures, or if you have access to a computer, you can visit your website, which I know is www.repfee.com.
Right.
And you can check out that information because oftentimes people they're not aware of actually the amount of resources that are available. And I have found that people tend to overlook them sometimes. And there is, the pharmaceutical companies, for example, a lot of times they will give discounted drugs directly to patients. That's something that's been in the news lately, is the high cost that's associated with that. So I think it's very important to take advantage of those programs if and when they're available. Additionally, Lancaster County has a pharmaceutical benefits plan that you can access through the county office as well, and I'm sure that you or I, either one, could get that information for those residents as well.
Sure, sure. Well, as we had mentioned earlier, Pennsylvania is one of the largest senior populations out there in the country. So you've been here for a while. Can you tell us about some past legislation that has come up that has helped our seniors, or that's coming up now in committee that you're hearing about?
Well, I think probably the biggest issue, as it is in many cases, is always really the funding for many of the programs that we have. The budget issues continue to be quite immense at the state level, so that's always a top priority. Many of our older adult services are funded by the lottery program as well as the general fund. So that's going to continue to be in the news as we go forward. Additionally, we've certainly passed some recent legislation regarding elder abuse and the reporting of that, strengthening those laws. We want to make sure that we're taking care of our most vulnerable citizens.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Can you give me some information and give our folks out there some information on the Ombudsman program?
Yes, Ombudsman, and I know we talked about this in the office, which I'm privileged enough to share with you.
That's right.
I think we mentioned that earlier in the program. The Ombudsman is actually of Swedish origin. It means citizen representative, and they're really the go-between between us as citizens, everyday citizens, and government. Because I know that for many people, and I know our offices act as that intermediary very frequently, government and the regulations can oftentimes be overwhelming. And the long-term care ombudsman really makes themselves available to kind of act as that resource. Because oftentimes we simply don't know as citizens, who's the right person to call? How do we go about getting access to information? So they're a client-driven, client-focused section of the government that acts solely on the behalf of the residents or the clients in that case. If you want to learn about the Ombudsman program, the information I happen to have here is you can contact your local area agency on aging. You may also contact the Office of State Long-Term Care Ombudsman. That phone number is 717-783-8975, and their email is aging@pa.gov.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And I tell you, I just want to publicly thank you. One of the things that the caucus did, the Republican caucus, to help save money coming into this year as a freshman class, is they partnered us up with an existing legislator. And then we get to share a secretary along the way. But it has been of great help, I think, as a freshman legislator coming in, to work closely. I know I often holler around the corner, hey, Bryan, what are you thinking about this? And it's wonderful because you have a history of the knowledge. I know a lot of the bills that come up before us have been up before in the past. So I do appreciate that.
Well, it's a privilege working with you. I love sharing an office with you, and I know that we compete for Jen, our secretary's time all the time as well, but it's a great working relationship, and I certainly look forward for many terms to come.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else in the healthcare facility? I know next that they're going to go in. I had toured Pleasant View Community earlier. They're going to get to go see that. But any last words of wisdom? I know that you actually had worked in the healthcare field.
Well, I think the big issue, anytime you're looking for a facility or anything like that, make sure you explore all your options. I know that we had to go through that with my own mother. Now, she was terminally ill, so she was somewhat younger when we had to make that decision. But I distinctly remember being overwhelmed and through that process. And I certainly want to encourage folks, don't be afraid to lean on there's great local resources that are available. If you don't know who they are, contact the Office of Aging. They can tell you who they are, where they actually help you walk through that process. And they can say, okay, here's what's available. Don't immediately assume that you have to go directly to a retirement community. We did in-home health care for some time before we moved to a retirement community. And it was a great blessing to have Mom at home for as long as we did. So there's a lot of options there. It's good from a state standpoint because it saves money, but it's also good for quality of life.
Well, I thank you, Bryan, and thank you for taking the time to join me today. Again, recently I went through the Pleasant View retirement community and I met with the president and CEO, Colleen Frankenfield. We discussed how seniors can choose from a range of housing and care levels to meet the individual needs and live their life they deserve. So I hope you enjoy the tour. We're here today with Colleen Frankenfield, the CEO of Pleasant View Retirement Community. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Mindy.
You bet. Tell me a little bit about how the retirement community has changed through the years.
Well, retirement communities have really changed a lot. Today, what a continuum care retirement community means is that we have all three levels of service. We have independent living residents, we have personal care residents, and skilled residents. So we can provide for all levels of service that a senior would possibly need. In addition, here at Pleasant View, we have other services as well. We provide home care services where we're reaching out into the community, the local community, in a 10 to 15 mile radius, going into people's homes, sometimes providing what we would call a life care at home, 24-hour care and services. We also have an outpatient rehab department, so rather than a senior after having hospitalization or discharge from our short-term rehab unit, they can come here back to our campus, be treated by the same rehab therapist on our campus because we're doing outpatient therapy for the local community.
That's wonderful.
So we're doing a lot of different things and a lot of different services today.
And as I look around here, for many years I've been out visiting. My grandmother actually used the facilities out here for years, so they're near and dear to my heart. But I see, you have the different cottages. Can you go over the different steps areas that you have, from the cottages to the apartments to the hospital care?
Right now we have cottages. We have 52 cottages. There's some in the front of our campus and a number on the back of our campus. The people who live there are independent, and so the cottages range in size from 2 bedrooms and a den to just 2 bedrooms. They're a lot of square footage. Some of them have a full basement. So some of them come out to be over 1,000 square feet, 1,700 square feet. And you can also then, within the cottage environment, you can access all of the services on this campus.
So you can come into the dining hall, you can use a fitness or anything.
You can use any of those services. You can also, as an independent living resident, live in apartments. And the same thing with the apartments. They range in size. Some are studio apartments, but we go all the way up to what we would call a 2-bedroom deluxe. You can have one that is a 1-bedroom with a den. So there's various types of opportunities for people depending upon what their needs are and depending upon what size apartment they leave, how much stuff that they have that they're bringing with them.
Sure. How many residents are here at one time?
We have about 450 residents on campus.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's a little city
of
itself.
I was going to say, it is a little city of itself, and that has grown through the years.
Yes, it has. We actually began in a farmhouse by 3 conservative Mennonite women who started taking care of people from the local community, the Manheim community.
Sure.
They pulled their money together and bought a piece of property from the Buchan family, which is where our original nursing center sits right now, and they built a 30-bed nursing home. So from 30-bed nursing home, we grew to serving over 450 residents.
To the campus today.
Yes.
Tell me, the residents that are here, where do they come from? Are they all local, or do you draw from certain other areas?
We draw a large amount from the Manheim area. Many of our residents are from Manheim, probably about 50% of them from Manheim or the small little towns around it. We draw probably, when you include Lancaster County, about 70 to 80% of our residents are from Lancaster County. Okay. About 20% on average come from outside the county, some in nearby counties, Chester County, Lebanon County. Some, however, come from other parts of Pennsylvania or from out of state. They see Pennsylvania, and particularly Lancaster County, because it's so beautiful, and the quality of the worker, and then the economics of living here with today's economy and loss on investments. They're looking at Lancaster County as a really good place to live, safety, security. They visited here, they visited the Amish, the shopping, and so it kind of draws them back here and they look. So we have about 20% of our population that come from outside the county.
Well, and we sit right on the rural farmlands. I mean, you can look out the windows and you can see the cornfields, and it's just absolutely gorgeous out here.
It is, it is. And, you know, being right next to Lebanon and having great health care available, we have Lancaster General Hospital System, which is a wonderful system. We have Hershey Medical, you know, right up in the other direction. And then, of course, you know, east of us, we have in Ephrata, we have two wonderful hospitals there as well. So healthcare, you know, in a rural area like this is really at its best. And
You're right in the middle of it.
we're right in the middle of it, so we're in a great spot for people to access whatever services they need.
As residents are here, living here 24 hours a day, what kind of activities do you have for them?
Well, we have wonderful activities. We bring a lot of activities onto campus. So we have a large auditorium where we bring in different performers, singers, dancers. We have a great relationship with Manheim Central High School. They have a great fine arts department, and they have a great jazz band and some other musical performers. They come in. So we do a lot of stuff on campus because that gives even our sickest residents the opportunity to be able to participate in that. For our independent living residents, we take them to places like Atlantic City, and we take them down to Maryland and do all kinds of great things there. But also for our skilled residents, we do our skilled nursing, which are our sickest residents. We do a lot of great things even going off campus. Next week, we have residents going on a fishing trip. They are going out to
but they love that.
one of those catch and let go places, but they don't have to let them go. They can actually cook them. They have barbecues there and all. So a group of our residents and staff, predominantly the men, it started as a men's trip, but some of our women really
Are jumping on.
They're jumping on and infringing on the men's day out. But they're going out on a fishing trip, and two of our male nurses, unit managers, are going with them. And the fishing pond is doing a great job and making the environment set for people that are in wheelchairs. And so it's really working great. So we do a lot of great things, entertainers, visitors. We have a large group of volunteers who come in and help us with wonderful activities. Local community members, some of our independent living residents. So they're just really, everything is happening here all hours of the day and into the evening, 7 days a week, and it's great.
It's wonderful to stay active. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. Is there any certain age that you look for? Is there different steps to come into the community?
Well, entrance into the community, because we are a senior services, our requirement for age is 60. So if you're coming into independent living, we require that you be 60 years of age. But if you're married, one spouse can be under 60. Now, when we're talking about the healthcare center, you don't have to be 60. So the skilled nursing facility, we take people of all ages. So we have at times had people that were in their 30s recovering from an automobile accident, and they may be on our short-term rehab unit. So we do often have people who are younger, because today the hospitals have to get them out.
Absolutely.
And they're not ready to go home yet, so we can help with.
So then you have the physical therapists come right here, and you're set up to work out and do the things they need to do.
We have two physical therapy departments, which actually includes physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And so we have one in the nursing building, and then we also have another one in our independent living building. In both areas, we're probably one of the few places around that are doing aquatic therapy. So we put people into the pool to exercise their joints, regardless of what their ability is, because we have lifts.
Absolutely. Well, years ago, that used to be an activity where the whole community, because I've actually come out and taken classes in the pool.
So now we do it as part of a physical therapy program, so
perfect.
it's great.
And it's beautiful down there. Your workout room, your swimming pool, it's a very warm, inviting environment.
Yeah, it's great, and it's busy, and now with the therapy, it's really getting a lot of use, a lot of good use.
That's great. Tell me about something that's very important to me is your business. You're here, you're growing, you're hiring people. So tell me about some of the jobs that are out here and what's available.
We have about 350 employees who work for us, with our part-timers and our full-timers. So we're always looking for really good, caring people who want to be caregivers. And caregivers are of different levels. So if you work in the skilled nursing unit, you have to be a certified nursing assistant. But we work with Harrisburg Community College to get people certified for that job. So that's great. So we provide the training, we pay
Partnership.
for it. And Harrisburg does it for us on site here, so you don't have to travel to Harrisburg.
Oh, really?
So we have
Okay.
a classroom downstairs, and we do that. We also have nurse aides who work, and they don't have to be certified in our personal care unit. But through our Care at Home program, we do a whole training, and they're more companions. We have some retired nurses that work in that program, but we always have a need for people who just care about people, who love working with seniors, who want to help. And, you know, that's a special person with a special heart. Someone who wants to help someone do their grocery shopping, drive them to the doctor, clean their homes, or maybe just help them with bathing. So we always have a need for people who want to do those types of service jobs.
How do you find them today? I mean, how do you reach out?
Mostly by advertising, but we get a lot of people who just walk in through the front door, local people, ask if we have employment. We have a computer, so we do it all online. It's right in the lobby, and they can sit down and just fill out an application. But we get a lot by word of mouth, but we do a lot of advertising as well, so that we always have a bank of people that we can pull from, and we're always looking for really good nurses, registered nurses and licensed practical nurses. Okay. So we're always looking for good people there, but we have about 350 employees that work for us.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And they're all local.
That is really wonderful. We want to create good jobs. You play such a big part in our community in Manheim. Again, you know, for years I've been out visiting the facility, and I know you reach out and you do many different events with the community. Tell me about what role you play in that.
Well, we try to be a part of the community, not just a taker of the community. And I think that's important for us because people need to know we're here so that we can jointly try to help people. So with our Care at Home program, we're going out into the community. When we get an application from a Manheim resident, we really try to make our services available for them because they are our local community. We participate in events. We do like the farm show and things like that, but there are a lot of other things that we're doing. You know, we have a lot of volunteer firemen. We actually sponsored in February of last year a dinner of appreciation for them. Oh. So we invited all the volunteer firemen and we paid for the dinner here on our property for them, and we'll be doing that again next year. They can use our fitness center free of charge. They just have to come get a badge. So we're trying to do a lot of that type of programming. We're also doing things with the veterans, doing an appreciation for them on the campus.
That's when we're co-sponsoring together. So
right,
I appreciate
that. And we love working with you and the township. We do Community Day.
I know,
with Manheim and Penryn.
Yeah, I got to participate in that one too, and have a tabletop and just be able to reach out to the people. And when we go on our tour, we're going to see it's almost like a little town square over there. It's so quaint, and
we're like a city unto itself. We have a lot of services, and it looks like a little German village up here.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Tell me about, I know we had done some recent renovations. Just real quick, what do you see coming in the future?
Right now, we've been trying to, with the opening of this new building where we're sitting, the J. Calvin Wanger Health Center, we renovated our existing health center because 65 residents still live over there and there's 68 here. So we did that. What we're trying to do is really make a state-of-the-art facility. We've done things with not only the environment, but a lot of our procedures and processes and our equipment. Some of the things that we've done, we realized how many older people roll out of bed because you lose the ability to roll yourself over. So what we did was we now have wider beds, 46 inches 42 inches as opposed to 36. So now we've eliminated our residents rolling out of bed so that people don't get hurt. We're doing state-of-the-art wound treatment. We have wound specialists that we've hired, and we're working with some of the local wound specialist physicians to really work on wounds that are difficult to heal on our rehab unit. So we're really looking at people and what the needs of the residents are, the older seniors, or even younger people who have had surgical procedures that may not have gone well. How can we help? What do they need that others aren't providing? And so we're developing our own little niche group here and really taken our nurses, done an extreme amount of training and invested in them to be able to provide those services. So we're hoping really that we become more involved in the community, that people see us that as their partner in their health and that's what we're trying to accomplish here.
Well, I think you're doing an absolutely great job, Colleen, and you can see it as you walk around. Again, it is such a warm and inviting feeling. You feel like you're walking into somebody's living room. So if that's what you're trying to create, you are definitely hitting the mark.
Definitely to deinstitutionalize and make it more home, and we are trying to do that, because the hardest thing for people when they have to move to a nursing home is to leave their home. It's very emotional, it's very traumatic, and the more we can do that and deinstitutionalize, the better health someone will be in, because the emotional overlay, the spiritual overlay is really, really important for us to be able to address that.
Well, and you even invite that in with family members. You know, I know there's different places that, you know, you can have a birthday party if need be, different rooms, and just different events where you can bring your family in like you're going to grandma's house. And
we do. We have full kitchens there, so they bring their food and they cook and they warm their food up. And even people from the local community who don't have anyone here use our facilities, and we welcome that opportunity for people to be able to use it. So they do use our auditorium and our gathering place for that as well.
one thing that I wasn't familiar with out here is that you touched on was the rehabilitation part of the campus. So can you tell me just a little bit more about that?
We have a short-term rehab unit that is actually part of our skilled nursing unit. The short-term rehab unit is a specialized care unit. We can actually do subacute care there. In that unit, we're doing very specialized care. It's for the people coming out of the hospital that only need rehab for a short period and are going to home or to another level of care. So we do IV antibiotics there, we do trach care there, we're doing things like specialized wound care. We're healing wounds there that no one else will take or can heal. So there's all kinds of, or people that are post-op, people that have had strokes, heart attacks, heart surgery, that just need some physical therapy, speech therapy, or occupational therapy. So the rehab department is an entity of its own. The residents there do not mix with the general population. Generally speaking, they're a younger, like better health resident. On that unit, we have an internet cafe for them. They can access email, they can video conference with a family member away. So it's really a highly functioning unit that has very specialized care.
And how many beds are on that unit?
There are 23 beds.
23 beds. Do you envision that expanding through the future?
Probably not, because the length of stay for there varies. Some people come in for 5 days, depending upon their health care coverage. Some are there 2 weeks. The average length of stay is anywhere from 14 to 21 days.
Okay.
So they're in and out.
Right. And then I just want to dig a little bit deeper into the personal care, because I know that's another form of care that's given here.
Personal care is a type of, a level of care where we provide assistance with what we call activities of daily living. So it's for a person who doesn't need skilled care, but maybe need some help bathing. They can't get in and out of the shower by themselves. They may be forgetful and can't remember to take their medications. So it's kind of an intermediate level of care where people can get the assistance that they need. They don't have to cook because they have a dining room, so they don't have to do that. If they need help with their laundry, they can get it. Within our personal care unit, though, we also have a specialized unit for people with cognitive impairment, and we call that the Meadows. It's a structured living environment where people have more structured activities that are designed to help to stimulate their memory because they have cognitive impairment. And it's also secure, and it has it's a locked unit so that if they have wandering problems, but they're still able to walk and ambulate around, that they won't get outside and get injured. So we have that level of cognitive impairment unit in the personal care unit as well. It's called Terrace Gardens.
Terrace Gardens. Well, I visited that area too
Yes.
many times, but it's just wonderful how you can come in and you have all the different steps of care you need as you get older.
Pretty much, if you go to a continuing care retirement community, you can get any type of service that you need there, and that's what we have to offer. And here at Pleasant View, we have a lot of those services, plus more because of all the specialty services that we have to offer.
You do. Well, you are a real treasure here in Lancaster County, and I appreciate the fact that you sit in the 37th District. So I thank you very much, Colleen. I thank you for joining us and letting us to come out and tour Pleasant View Retirement Community.
Well, thank you for joining us on this very beautiful day.
You bet.
Thanks.
That's all the time we have for today's program. I'm State Representative Mindy Fee. If you need assistance with any state government matters, feel free to contact me at my local office. The address and the number will be shown in a moment. Thanks for watching, and please join me next time for the Legislative Report.